to make more money, what I encourage people to do is find their ikigai. And ikigai is a Japanese concept where there are 4 circles, and where they intersect, that's ikigai. So for example, you want to make a list. What are all the things that you can do really well, that you really do well? Then you make a list of everything that you love to do, because you might do something well, but you don't like doing it. That's not a good combination. Then what does the world need, and what can you get paid to do? Now, I think you found your ikigai. I know I found mine. I mean, people say I'm good at doing this. I like doing it. The world needs what I'm doing, and I get paid to do it. So that's my ikigai. And so I think there's some people out there that are stuck in jobs or careers that they hate. They don't like it. They're never going to really make a lot of money if they hate doing what they're doing. And I think you can probably agree with that as well.
No doubt about it. So true. What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we have one of the biggest guests we've ever had on the podcast. He's not going to brag on himself, but I'm going to do it for a couple seconds before I bring him in. I've been following this gentleman for a very long time. He's written many incredible books, spoken on every major stage in the industry, and has a brand new book that we're here to talk about today that I can promise you will want to learn more about, which is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Please welcome to the channel for the first time ever, which is a surprise, by the way, to me, Mr. Tom Hegna. What is up, Tom?
Hey, Cody. Great to be with you today. I'm coming live from Flagstaff, Arizona today.
I love it, man. You probably got a lot better weather than I do here in Springfield, Missouri. But
yeah, it's perfect. I mean, this whole summer has been 75 to 80 degrees. You know, we're about 30 degrees cooler than Phoenix. So it's a great place to spend the summer.
Yeah, it is. I always wondered that too, compared to Phoenix. I'm like, man, Flagstaff, it just sounds hot, but it's like, no, dude, that's a lot less than Phoenix. So that's great.
Yeah. I mean, snow's up here all winter. You know, we had 160 inches of snow this year, but I spend my winters down in Phoenix. But we come up and I mean, there's a ski mountain here. This is higher than Denver, Colorado. A lot of people don't know that.
No, I did not know that. That's amazing. Well, first of all, thank you for agreeing to be on the channel. You're awesome. And for all the mentorship over the years, you know, for me and plenty of other advisors over the years, and allowing me to be a part of the new book and write the foreword, which is awesome. Huge honor. So thank you for that. I did have one question before we jump into the book. You've obviously had a ton of success and you continue to give back, you know, is it legacy? Is it, love for the industry? Is it, hey, I want to help the next generation? Like, what is it for you that really?
I mean, I think it's tradition. I mean, you think of Ben Feldman and the Kinder brothers and Joe Jordan, and those are some of the people that lifted me up, you know, and helped me when I was a brand new struggling agent. And I wouldn't be here without the Kinder brothers or Joe Jordan or, you know, Zig Ziglar and some of these guys that could motivate you and inspire you. And then, you know, Joe taught me just a ton about annuities. People don't know, but he was the head of the annuity department at MetLife for many years. And I was on his annuity advisory council. And I mean, he made things fun. And so I learned a lot from people, and I think people can learn some things from me. So I'm trying to share with them as well.
Amen. I promise you they can. How many books, like what number book is this for you?
So this was 6. And then I have another one coming out that I've written with Jeremiah Desmarais that kind of ties into this, but it's more for advisors. But this book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? This is really for clients. And we made it paperback this time so that it's people can get it in quantity. It's cheaper to ship. And if you use media mail, it costs almost nothing to ship. And so we just decided to go paperback on this. It's an easy read. But I think it can really help advisors build a relationship with their clients, because, you know, what happened for me is when I started helping my clients become wealthy, and you know, when you go to one of your kids' ball games or you go to a party and somebody says, what do you do? I mean, some people say I'm a life insurance agent, I'm a financial advisor. I said, I help create millionaires. You tell me how many million you want, I'll show you what you need to get there. And then what I would do, because you got to remember, this was 30 years ago, Cody. There were not ETFs. We couldn't illustrate mutual funds. We couldn't illustrate stocks and bonds, but I could illustrate life insurance. So what I would do is I would go to a life insurance illustration. I would solve for $1 million cash value at their age 65. So for example, in the book, I use an example of a 25-year-old female. And if she put away $7,700 a month, when she's 65, she's going to have $1 million. Well, 77 is a lot of money. 7,700 is a lot of money, and I'm not telling people to put all their money in life insurance, but I found this, Cody, is that if you can show people that they actually could become a millionaire, they have a much better chance of getting there. See, most people think, oh, that's pie in the sky. I'll never do that. I'm barely making ends meet the way it is. I'll never have $1 million. Well, they never will because they don't think they can. But I wouldn't stop there. I would then go to a time value of money calculator, and I would say, now, if you could get 6%, you'd really only have to put away about $500 a month, and you could become a millionaire. Now, if you could get 9%, you only have to put away about $250 a month. And if you could get 12%, you'd only have to put away $100 a month. Well, anybody almost out there can say, I can put away $100 a month, or I can put away $250. And so what I did is I just focused them on what it would take for them to become a millionaire. And once they could see it, then they could believe it, and that's how they can achieve it. And so then I wasn't a salesperson anymore. I was on their wealth building team. And then, well, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should do it? And they'd ask me questions. I'd say, well, here's what I'm doing. And I'd show them the things. I got life insurance. I got annuities. I got mutual funds. I got whatever. And I would show them the things that I was doing to build wealth as well.
Yes. Which is also why you're writing the book, so that you can help advisors with their clients, you know?
Well, and if you think about, Cody, I've spent my entire life, I would say there's 3 phases of wealth. The first phase is building wealth. I call that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And then there's protecting wealth. Who Wants to Stay a Millionaire? And then there's distributing wealth. Who Wants to Live and Give Like a Millionaire? I've spent my entire career on steps 2 and 3. I've worked with baby boomers my whole time, 5 books on retirement. But I wanted to do something for Generation X, Y, Z, and millennials, helping them build wealth. You know, I've got 4 kids ranging from age 21 to 39. And these are the things that I've shared with them on how to build wealth. And so that's all I was trying to do was come up with some ways to help younger people become wealthy.
Yeah, well, it got my attention too. Like I read through the book. Like you gave me one of the early copies. I'm writing the forward. Obviously, I want to check out the book and read it. And I was appreciative of that. And I read through it. I was on a plane, and I would look at my wife, and I'm like, we think we're doing so good, but like I'm pulling out so many key nuggets and takeaways at back then 32, now 33 years old, that I'm like, gosh dang, like we need to be doing this. You know, I mean, one of the things that we've done that got my attention with the book is like, we've used debt in major ways, but which, you know, it can speed up some stuff, but it can also hold you back in a lot of ways, you know? And so I start reading this in your book, and I'm like, that is so good. That makes so much sense. And you lay stuff out really well, by the way. Like, yes, you've been doing it forever, but like you lay stuff out so clear and crystal. Like I saw you in Springfield at a client seminar, actually teaching these strategies to seniors. And it was just like, man, the way you lay stuff out is so simple. Most people complicate stuff so much. You keep it so simple.
Well, you know, I just did a big meeting, 600 people down in the Villages in Florida. And I just put about 10 minutes of this Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at the end of my Don't Worry, Retire Happy. And the Don't Worry, Retire Happy is for baby boomers. But I said, I want to spend 10 minutes on helping you with your children and grandchildren. Here are some tips you can give them. And I went through this, and all these people came rushing up to me afterwards saying, that was the best 10 minutes. I wish you did the whole thing on that. I mean, my kids need that. When are you coming back? I mean, they really got excited about it because I just give very simple ways. You know, I say there's really 3 ways to build wealth. Number 1, you want to make more money. Number 2, you want to spend less or spend wiser. And number 3, you really want to put your money into appreciating assets. See, most people are putting all their money into depreciating assets: cars, boats, jet skis, you know, computers, iPads, shoes, clothes, handbags. Those are all depreciating assets. They go down in value every day. Now, we all need some depreciating assets, but that's not where you want to put the majority of your wealth. And so let me just talk a little bit about making more money, because, you know, the dirty little secret is everybody out there is going to make millions of dollars. I mean, even somebody who's making $50,000 a year is going to make somewhere between $3 and $6 million over their career. But if I can get them to $100,000, they're going to make somewhere between $7 and $11 million. And if I can get up to $250,000, they're going to be somewhere between $17 and $28 million. And it's a lot easier to save $1 million when you got $28 million than if you got $3 million. Mm-hmm. Now, I have had people say, well, Tom, $1 million isn't what it used to be. I mean, it's nothing. You're going to need a lot more than that. I don't disagree with that. But I will tell you one thing. The first million is the hardest. Once you have $1 million, it's easier to get 2 and 3 and 4, because now you can have money working for you. But before you have money working for you, you got to work for the money and you got to save it. And so That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help everybody, get that first million, and then the others come a little quicker. But to make more money, what I encourage people to do is find their ikigai. And ikigai is a Japanese concept where there are 4 circles, and where they intersect, that's ikigai. So for example, you want to make a list. What are all the things that you can do really well, that you really do well? Then you make a list of everything that you love to do, because you might do something well, but you don't like doing it. That's not a good combination. Then what does the world need, and what can you get paid to do? Now, I think you found your ikigai. I know I found mine. I mean, people say I'm good at doing this. I like doing it. The world needs what I'm doing, and I get paid to do it. So that's my ikigai. And so I think there's some people out there that are stuck in jobs or careers that they hate. They don't like it. They're never going to really make a lot of money if they hate doing what they're doing. And I think you can probably agree with that as well.
No doubt about it. So true. Yeah. So that goes under making more money.
Yeah. And even Abraham Lincoln said, whatever you are, be a good one. Now that sounds so simple, but if you're a plumber, be the best plumber in the county. If you're a truck driver, have the best on time, non-accident record. People who are good at what they do are the ones that make more money. I say there are riches in niches. Find your niche. It will make you rich. I mean, there's a lot of things in financial services, but my niche is retirement income. Now, I know I'm doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I do some other things, but my niche is retirement income. That's what I focus on. And I think once an advisor gets established, I mean, when you're first starting out, anybody who can write a check, and if they're breathing, you're going to go over there and take the application. But once you get established, you want to become an expert in something. You really want to find your niche, because if you find your niche, it'll make you rich. And then I also share in the book my secret to success. And this is what I've taught all my kids. I said, when you get a job, I want you to go to work early, stay late, and always do more than what you're paid to do. Now, that sounds stupid. People say, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Well, because pretty soon you're going to be the most valuable person in that company. You're going to get paid more and promoted faster than your peers who come to work late, leave early, and always try to do as little as possible for a paycheck. Now, I gave that in a presentation a few weeks ago, and somebody posted the copy of that slide up on their Facebook, and they got attacked by clients and that's stupid. I'm not going to work for free for the man. They're just going to take advantage of me. And all I told them was, I said, see, those people are a dime a dozen. Those are the people who don't get promoted, who don't get paid. They're complaining all the time. And Cody, you hire people. What if somebody came to work for you and they said, look, if you hire me, I'm going to come to work early, I'm going to stay late, and I'm always going to do more than you pay me to do? I think you'd probably shut the interview down and hire them right on the spot, because you don't hear that a lot.
Never, 100%. And that's actually what we look for too. And you're right. When we find them, we do pay them more, promote them faster, all those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's on how to kind of make more money. Be good at what you're doing, be the best in your company. That's how you're going to get promoted. That's how you're going to get paid more. But then when it comes to spending, see, most people don't become millionaires. It's not because they don't make enough money. Most people don't become millionaires because they spend the money that they got. They spend too much. And I say that most Americans could be millionaires except for 2 simple things. Number 1, they spend way too much money on their cars. And number 2, they get divorced. So the moral of the story is stick with your first spouse and drive a used car. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, but let me give you an example here. I mean, we all know how expensive divorce is. I had a friend who was a multimillionaire, and in the last 15 years of his life, he got married and divorced 3 times. So his 2 million went to 1 million, went to 500,000, went to 250. He's now trying to find places in Guatemala to live. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making that up. So divorce can be very expensive. But the reason I pick on cars, it is the one thing that most people are pouring massive amounts of their wealth into that goes down in value every single day. And I have an example in the book of me. I had a chance to buy a brand new Ford F-150 for $65,000, or I could buy one that was 2 years old, had 13,000 miles on it for $30,000. Well, it looked brand new. It was fine with me. It looked fine. It had satellite radio, all the things I wanted, backup cam, everything. I went with the used one. And then I took that $35,000 that I didn't spend, and I invested it. And if I get 6% on that, I would have over 200,000 in 30 years, over almost 400,000 in 40 years, and almost 700,000 in 50 years. If I could get 8%, that'd be 382,000, 849,000, and 1.8 million. Now that's one vehicle, Cody. I have 4 kids, a wife. We've probably had 15 to 20 vehicles in the last 30, 40 years. Okay. My wife and I are going on our 40th anniversary cruise in a week or two over in Europe.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. I mean, how many people start married for 40 years? But we probably had 20 vehicles. Now you multiply those hundreds of thousands times 10 or 15 or 20. I think everybody could be a millionaire if they were just wiser with their cars. Think of how many couples each have $1,000 a month car payments now. And then they go and buy these cars and then they get the shock. What's the shock? Their car insurance is another, $600-800 a month. And they're shocked at that. Well, that's where all their money's going. And if they would put that money to any couple out there that has $2,000 a month car payments, go on any time value money calculator, put $2,000 a month in there and see what that thing's going to be worth in 30 years. We're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I just think if people were wiser with their car choices and they didn't get divorced, I think almost everybody could become a millionaire if they really wanted to.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. And from the younger generation, like it is like that happens even more, it seems like nowadays. And you just hit me square between the eyes with all that, by the way. So thank you.
Well, everybody wants to drive a Lexus or a Tesla or whatever they're driving. And I'm just saying, just get one a couple years old. I know right now it's kind of weird because used car prices are expensive too, but you can still find some decent deals out there. And new cars, you're paying over sticker price in most cases. I mean, we never used to pay sticker price. Now you're lucky if you get it at sticker price. So I just think that would be the one thing that'd be easy for people to do that could create massive wealth. I'll just tell you a quick story. When I was in the Phoenix area as an advisor, I drove red convertibles. And what I would do is I'd go find a red convertible, get a good price on it. I would drive it for 2 or 3 years, and then I would sell it for the same or more than what I paid for it. I did that like 3 times. And so that was like a 10-year period that I had zero car expenses other than gas and maintenance. And I think that 10-year period probably resulted in at least a couple of $1 million that built up because of that. So, Gary Vaynerchuk says people lose because they want things fast when life is long. And then I got people say, well, Tom, you don't understand. It's YOLO, baby. You only live once. And I say, no, it's not YOLO. Joe Jordan and I say it's yo-yo. You're on your own, baby. And the only person that will take care of your older self is your younger self. Let me say that one more time. The only person that will take care of your older self is your younger self. And I'm just so proud of my younger self that took good care of me.
That's good. Gosh, that's such a good phrase too. Oh my goodness. Wow. I love that. Well, I'm also going to add too that like the link to go grab Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is below in the description. We're going to make sure we add that. So make sure you do that. I've read it. I personally loved it. I'm even loving it in more in person right now, which is great.
Yeah, and really the rest of the book, just kind of tell you how the whole thing started. I got asked by a couple of companies to make a presentation on financial wellness because financial wellness is a big buzzword out there. And when I was doing my research, I was shocked to find how tightly financial fitness is tied to physical fitness, is tied to emotional fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness. And when you think about it, people who don't have money, many of them have health problems. They have emotional problems. They have mental problems. And when you're financially fit, most people are also physically fit and spiritually fit and emotionally fit. So they are very much tied together. And so the rest of the book goes into that. It goes into different steps you can take, how to ride the emotions of the stock market and how not to let that get you. You make money buying low, selling high, but most people buy high and then they panic and they sell low. So there's some of that in there, but I really try to make things very simple so that anybody who sincerely wants to become wealthy can become wealthy if they follow some simple steps in the book.
Yes. Yeah. And you do lay it out super simple. It makes sense. And what you're sharing today, it's like, it seems like a lot of individuals in their 20s and 30s are like, we're violating a lot of this, like we really are. And our older self is going to thank us later. It makes sense.
We want it all now. And you know what? I was so happy that I did not have the gene where I had to look wealthy. Like I think so many people are trying to look wealthy, and I never cared about how I looked. I focused on becoming wealthy. That was what I focused on, the goal. And so my wife doesn't like to drive used cars. So for her, I got to bite my lip sometimes and buy a new car. But I do get her to say that she will keep it for 6 or 7 years. So we're not that family that every 2 years you get a new car. That's like throwing money right down the toilet. So, I mean, there are some exceptions. When you're married, you kind of got to pick your battles, and that's a battle I've chosen not to die on. But I drive used cars. I get used cars for my kids, but my wife gets a new car, I guess. That's kind of how it goes.
I love it. Well, what's next I'm curious. I've never gotten a chance to ask this. What's next for you?
Well, I'm honestly trying to be retired.
You told me this a couple of years ago, by the way.
Well, but I am 75% retired. So like good. For 30 years, I was on the road 200 days a year doing 350 to 400 presentations. So I've been doing 2, 3, 4 a day. Okay. So, I mean, I wasn't just, if I was on the road 200 days, I didn't just do 200 presentations. I was doing like 350 to 400 presentations. This year, I bet I'll only do 25 live events. So I raised my in-person way up just because I don't want to do it, but I mean, there's always big meetings that'll pay to bring in the gun. And so I do get some phone calls still, and I'm still doing, I'm going to Beirut, Lebanon here in a little while. I'm going to be speaking there. I mean, so I'm still doing some stuff, but I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. I play pickleball 2 days. I've just played pickleball this morning.
Oh, I love pickleball.
Yeah. And, for 30 years, I could not justify joining a country club. And I'm a big golfer, but I was on the road 200 days a year. It'd be ridiculous. There's a buy-in, there's monthly dues, there's minimum food and beverage. The numbers never worked. Well, guess what? Now I got 2 country club members, and the numbers work great because I golf 4 to 5 days a week. And so it's a steal. Country clubs now are a steal if you play a lot of golf. If you don't play a lot of golf, then they can be kind of expensive. But if you're actually using it and doing it, I call it the compound. I rarely leave the compound. I can stay here. I didn't even know that your pickup will literally shut down after 7 or 14 days or whatever. But I didn't even drive my pickup for 21 days last year. My whole pickup shut down and was on battery saver mode. I didn't even know those things existed. But I hadn't even started my truck in 21 days. I just take the golf car everywhere I want to go here. And it's orange, by the way.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Where's the orange come from? That's you, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So it's really just branding. And if you look at Joe Jordan, he wears bow ties and pirate suspenders and white shoes. And, you got some female speakers. They all wear red dresses, red shoes. You kind of need to have something to be your brand. There's a guy out there who's even more orange than me. He wears orange shoes, orange watch band, orange hat. And he's he talks about orange. But for me, it was just something I did as a branding thing. And, people say, yeah, what was that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but he always wears orange. Oh yeah, Hegna, that guy. Yeah. So, it kind of works.
What advice would you give? What advice would you give for a young advisor that's coming into the business? We get a lot of those.
Well, look, it's all about activity. I learned very young that if you only are writing 1 or 2 or 3 apps, it's a tough business, because if you write 3 apps and you lose 2, you're going to have a bad week. But if you write 30 and you lose 2, that's just a business. And so I did volume. I said an app a day keeps depression away. And I always tried, I never had a blank week the entire time I was in production. I never went 7 days without writing a policy. And regularly I would have 7 to 10 policies a week that I would turn in. And that for me gave me comfort. It was the volume. Because, people change their mind. They talk to their brother-in-law. You get a decline. You get the other broker involved, and they take it back away from you. All this stuff happens. It's business. Oh, and one of the best tips I ever got, I was brand new in the business. I was going up and down and up and down and up and down. And I went to a meeting, and this one guy said, well, you got to plan for fallout, right? So if you want to write 10 apps, well, you better write 15. And then you wind up with 10. See, too many people set their goal and then they do it, and then you have fallout and then they miss their goal. So you got to plan for fallout. And once I learned I had a plan for fallout, it was like, whoa, yeah, that makes sense. So now instead of 10, I'm going for 15 and I'll wind up with 10, And I just think and I'll tell you another thing. We used to have this regional manager who made us keep track of everything. Where do we get the lead? What do we write? What size was it? What was underwriting? We had to keep track of everything. And I had come off of active duty Army, and I was going to kind of be the military guy in Phoenix, work a couple Air Force bases. And then when we bought our new house, I met this guy from US Homes who sat in the model home, and he was my best center of influence. He gave me everybody who was closing, and then he introduced me to the other guys. And they introduced me to everybody who's closing. So I get these lists of real people. And so I was turning in my book, and my regional manager goes through it. He says, "Tell me about your business." And I said, "Well, I spent about half my time in the military market, and I spent about half my time in this new home market." He says, "I don't see much military business here." I said, "Yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm Army, that's Air Force, doesn't really always get along." And he said, "But you're doing a lot over here in this new home." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I want you to stop doing anything military, do 100% new home." I said, No, I'm the military guy. Like, this is what I'm going to do. No, it's not working. Do this. And when he shifted me to do 100% in that new home market, my business just skyrocketed. So I think sometimes as advisors, we think that we are somebody that we're not. And we need a third party to look at our operation and say, no, don't do that. Do this. And that made a lot of difference for me.
So smart. That's such good advice. I love that. Well, Tom, what have we not mentioned, man? This has been amazing. I appreciate you being on.
I mean, if they want the book, it's tomhegna.com/shop, and I'm paying for the shipping right now. So, and it's available on Amazon, but then you got to pay for your own shipping. So tomhegna.com/shop, and I think you're going to put the link in there, and we should be good to go.
I love it, buddy.
But you just keep being Cody and keep doing what you're doing. Thanks,
man. I appreciate that. You're awesome. I've learned a ton from you, and I really appreciate you sharing some of your time, and also creating the book for a bunch of young people that are making a ton of mistakes, but that, guess what, would love to be millionaires one day. Like, that's awesome that you're giving back.
And young people have time, and time is even more important than the money, because if you got time, you can get the money. So I mean, it's a simple book. It's an easy read. It's pretty thin, so it doesn't cost a lot to ship, and we sell them by the case as well.
I love it. Well, thank you for doing it. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you guys for listening to Power Player Podcast. Go give Tom Hegna some love. Go to tomhegna.com/shop. Grab the book. I can tell you what, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Phenomenal read. Incredible, insightful content from one of the best to ever do it. Thank you for listening to an amazing interview, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.